Hi, I'm Leaf, and this is an explanation of air acceleration in Deadlock. For this video, I'll be referring to air acceleration from movement inputs, your WASD keys, as air control or air control acceleration. Also, I'll be referring to the direction of the character's current momentum as their velocity vector. Previously, I have called this the movement vector. Air control acceleration is 80 by default and drops to 50 when moving above 700 units per second. The maximum velocity air control can achieve in the same direction is 80 units per second. We can test this by turning off gravity. The engine prevents velocity from ever exceeding this acceleration. If Holiday hits a jump pad, she can now go 160 units per second, backing up the plus 100% air control stat on the tooltip. While air control cannot exceed the character's move speed value, the current minimum speed is equal to the best air control speed. In other words, slows can't reduce the effectiveness of strafing unless they're on Holiday. As explained in my first strafing video, air control acceleration is locked out in a cone around the velocity vector in Deadlock. This can be demonstrated by air dashing with gravity and air drag off, holding W and rotating the camera. As long as the velocity is higher than air control acceleration, the character's velocity won't change until the rotation reaches 80 degrees. This is also true with movement inputs other than W. We can use zero gravity to observe the keyboard turning as basically optimal strafing speed at about 480 to 500 units of velocity. It's possible to build velocity faster than keyboard turning even when changing direction, as the turn speed should be higher at lower velocity. When strafing off a Holiday pad, maximum velocity is about 760 units. This is because air control drops to 50 at 700, making it harder to get higher. Air dash acceleration is not instant. It occurs over a very short period of about 0.13 seconds. An air dash done in the same direction as the velocity vector will not accelerate beyond 732 units of velocity for Bucket 1 character. Bucket 2 characters are capped at 670 and Bucket 3 at 642. These values are the acceleration applied by the air dash, and they're increased by 30% when purchasing Stamina Mastery. Additionally, at the end of an air dash, up to 20% of the character's current velocity that exceeds 80 units per second is removed, to a minimum of 480, which is about 12 meters per second. So, when current velocity is more than 80% of air dash acceleration, air dashing in the same direction slows the character. Zip dashing removes this penalty, which is why it can generate so much extra speed. For an air dash to actually accelerate you when moving faster than air dash acceleration, it has to be done at an angle above 60 degrees away from the velocity vector. Best acceleration is at about 75 degrees away from the velocity vector when current velocity is equal to air dash acceleration. This angle will approach 90 degrees away as velocity nears double the acceleration, and 60 degrees as velocity nears half. For Bucket 1 characters above 800 velocity, air dashing cannot result in gaining speed, barely breaking even at about 78 degrees. The only way around this limit is air dashing without air drag, such as a zip dash. When dropping off a transit line, velocity is somewhere between 250 and 590 or so, depending on how close your facing is to the direction the transit line is heading. Between 400 and 600 velocity, all characters, regardless of dash bucket, will get the best acceleration from an angle of about 65 degrees away when dashing without air drag. One last thing to know about zip dashing is that even with zipline speed boost active, you still drop off the transit line at about the same speed, though sometimes you get closer to 700 units instead. To sum it all up, air control is the same as minimum speed until going faster than 700 units. Slows generally have no effect on air control. Keyboard turning gives a good baseline for strafing rotation speed at 500 units of velocity. Below 500 it will be slightly faster, and above 500 it will be slower. Above 700 it will be much slower. Air dash acceleration is dependent on the character's dash speed. Air dashing with air drag will always slow you if you've got at least 800 velocity, though it can still be useful to maneuver. When crouching off a transit line, aim to air dash 65 degrees away from the angle you hit crouch at. I'd recommend holding W and A or D and turning 10 to 20 degrees into the dash. It's better to be too narrow than too wide. If you're completely lost on the rotation speed required for strafing, load up the test map, open console, and set SV gravity to 0. Then jump to the height ceiling of the map and just practice strafing this way. Once you can keep 400 or more velocity with 0 gravity, you've pretty much got it. Thanks for watching, and may all your air dash angles be perfect.